Hi everyone, welcome to our Friday Live.
Hi.
It's March 1st.
First
Happy new month.
first Friday live of the month.
Yeah.
So we moved away from February, March. Did you know what month is March?
What month is March? I don't know. Well,
There's
I
of
do
course
know.
a whole bunch of like this day and that day, but for March, it's the Asset Management Awareness Month. Okay. So this month we're trying to give you a lot more information about money management, short-term, long-term, asset management infos. So, uh,
So we're talking about short term first.
okay, all
Have
right.
you guys thought about emergency funds? How much do you need if an emergency were to happen? How much do you think you need to save up?
I think we hear it all the time. Make sure you have an emergency fund just in the event, if unfortunately someone in your family is hospitalized, or if you get laid off, or you just, for whatever reason, you have to terminate your employment like right away. What is that safety net that would secure your family?
Yeah.
What have you heard?
Well, I mean, the answer is like many things that we. It's the attorney's favorite answer and not everyone's favorite.
I know. Okay, so our answer is of course.
It depends.
There you go. We've heard 3 months. Now I think people tend to go a little more conservative about it. So a lot of articles giving people the ballpark about anywhere between 6 to 12 months. Right. But exactly what cost does it cover though?
You need to think about your lifestyle. So that's why also the amount of money, it depends, right? Your basic necessities, utility, if you have rent to pay, any tax liabilities, gas money, anything that's related to your life, your leasing, tuition, like
So
all that.
all
needs
the
have to come
bare
first.
minimum, right? So
Right.
housing, utilities, food, transportation, and medical. Okay, so that's like the bare necessities. And then if you are a little more comfortable, you can factor in all the installment savings that you've been setting up. So automatic investments every month. You can incorporate that into your emergency fund if you think it's feasible. And it also depends on outside of your own family, outside of your own lifestyle. It depends on the overall economy, right?
Yeah.
Like what kind of job.
Inflation.
Inflation is of course a big one, and then what kind of job industry you're in. Some industry it's easier to find replacement work. Some it's lay off here and there. Then for a short period of time it's really difficult for you to find another job right away. So that's different things to think about before you can actually budget and carve out how much of an emergency fund you should have for yourself. But
Yeah, and it also depends what your needs are. I mean, if your Netflix subscription is a need, then you need to calculate that in.
oh, there's a big one. I'm sorry. I'm assuming you're working, but if you're already retired, that's a very big thing to consider. Your spending and your budgeting would be really different from if you're still working because, working, I've been saying, finding alternative jobs. But if you're already retired, it is a lot bigger step to do to, get back into the workforce. So if you are part of the retired population, your consideration would be a little different and you have to calculate out your emergency fund a little differently than others. And moving on.
So next, the long-term goal.
Long-term goal, basically there are different things that put together your entire asset planning, okay? So
We call it the 5 pillars of retirement planning.
So retirement planning starts as soon as, like right now, all the way until retirement, and then the estate planning as a whole. So 5 pillars. You talk about your tax consideration, your tax planning. You have your investment planning. You have your income planning, healthcare planning, and estate planning. All right. So really importantly, we're gonna go into not too much detail, but a little bit about every single one. My biggest point to make sure I can hopefully draw it into you is that all needs to happen at the same time. Not necessarily like concurrently everything all together, but it's something that you cannot say, I'm gonna finish my tax liabilities and then I'm gonna think about healthcare, because healthcare can't wait, right? And you can't think about, okay, I'm gonna figure out all my investments before I think about my estate planning, because estate planning is for anytime. You don't know when what's going to happen. So I would like, after we go into each one briefly, think about it, make sure they are all
Aligned.
on your radar.
Yeah. So think of it as like a Venn diagram, interlocking circles, rather than step by steps.
Right. Or like, actual pillars. If you want to build like a good house,
They
like
need to grow
every pillar
together,
needs
yeah.
to come up together. So so it can be balanced out, right? So all right. Tax planning. Tax planning, you look at the ways that you can reduce your tax during your lifetime. So it has to do with constant reviewing of your tax return filings. Okay. Yes, I know you only file once a year, but my constant meaning like every year you got to check in with your CPA. I'm not saying, go with the same CPA for 5-10 years and without knowing exactly what kind of deduction you're taking. Actually communicate with your CPA.
Yeah, being aware of that, what type of deduction, the laws do change, the codes, make sure you have a CPA that's up to date and well versed, and they can help you, maximize those tax savings.
Okay, and then as you if you are at an age closer to retirement, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with the required distribution of your retirement accounts, because that will play a big part into the tax that you'll be paying when you're retired.
Right.
Right. So plan for that. And so along that same line, you think about whether or not you want to do Roth conversion. It's been a big topic recently. All right. And next one, investment planning.
So investment, it's different for everybody, but of course, we will still advise you to go with a professional. There's a lot of wealth management advisors, financial advisors out there. You want it to be aligned with your family's goals, right? Whether how far away from your retirement you are, what type of spending we're looking at, and as well as your tax liabilities.
So I think for everybody has different style of investing,
right.
But what you would like to take into account are the risks that you're taking and the return. At different stages in life, you would want to give out, you would want to balance out differently. Usually, if you're a little younger, you have more time for recovery than you can,
something higher risk.
And vice versa. So that's something you determine for yourself where you are, but knowledge is key. You're gonna make sure you have the knowledge and then make that determination. And then with Angela mentioned that there are a lot of financial advisors. You want to make sure you know how you're paying the fees on these advice. Is it a flat fee or
percentage?
Right.
There are different ways.
So in the long run, if the arrangement that you're choosing, make sure that's supposedly most economical. Right? Next, income. So income, what would you say?
It's paycheck for life. If you're thinking about retirement, right? You have to make sure you're sustaining a certain income level and balance that with your savings and all the other pillars that we were talking about, of course.
So if you're on a regular like a set salary employment, how long do you want to work? And when you do retire, where is that replacement income coming from? You think about your lifetime planning. If you want to have some passive income coming in, at what point in time? Or a lot of people are starting to learn more about Social Security benefits. Social Security benefits has really different, it's mapped out really complicated. A lot of complication for many people. And you hear a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but because everybody's situation is all different. Again,
the steps are calculated differently for
right.
everyone.
So what makes more sense for you? Our answer is the same thing. It really depends. So learn or read up into it, or we'll try to feed you pieces along the way too. But it's just good to know your options. What kind of lifestyle or what kind of income you have right now may lead you to what type of Social Security benefits, and help you map out the transition between working and retiring and what type of income, so you can have a more accountable income for life.
And also take in consideration, like we already mentioned, inflation and cost of living.
I can't repeat that.
I
Enough
mean,
times.
are you still gonna stay in the same state, or there are things to consider.
Healthcare planning. So healthcare.
That's
Same
a big
thing.
one.
That's a really big one. If you have a steady job with a regular set employment, you usually, hopefully, have
Insurance.
medical benefit from your company.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you stops working, what happens?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a big thing. Before you never know when you're gonna get laid off. I hope not, but if that does, you have like a small window for you to get onto COBRA. But what other options do you have? It's something. It's good to have as an option that you already look into. So if you're getting private insurance, exactly what you're looking at, and even if medical is taken care of, long-term care costs.
Lot of money.
I'm getting a little older, so I do think of that a little more. It is going to be a big cost, and that's not covered by any of the insurance. A lot of insurance are carving out benefits actually as we speak.
Yeah, they're having new policies that include the riders for long-term care.
So make sure that is also taken care. Actually, at least you're thinking about it. And then any of other out-of-pocket expenses, like healthcare expenses, you have to know exactly, if you have already any conditions or you like a certain treatment, not necessity, but there's something in mind that you would like to have, included in your lifestyle. Those would probably be out of pocket, because it's not a necessity. So then that part you also have to figure into your own expenses. So it's something to account for in the long run.
Lastly, estate planning, which is what we do. But like we said, it needs to tie into everything. Everything needs to align. It's not just one thing or the other thing.
So again, I did not list that out in a particular order. It's how it usually comes up in articles or different topics that you're into. But that should not be placed last, okay? Not the last. It needs to go all at the same time, right? Of course, estate planning, make sure you have the right estate planning documents in place. And, it could be as simple as really figuring out, do you need a trust or not? Now, if you've been with us, you probably know by now, we do. Most of the people who reside in California would benefit a lot
from a trust.
Yes. But figure that out for yourself so you know what you want and what you need. And all the ancillary documents that are in place, and of course the beneficiaries that we keep on talking about. That's when you get to map out how you want your assets to go. So you're building everything. You're doing all these different plannings. Don't let that last one slide. Okay.
Yeah, it's like we mentioned, these are 5 pillars, right? Think about the pillars growing together, but the estate planning part of it, the trust, is like the bow on top where you tie everything up together. It's that one place you can put all these planning together.
You're thinking about the bow on top.
The
I'm
bow on
thinking
top.
about the
The
safety
umbrella.
net at the very bottom.
Or the umbrella that covers everything.
If you set this up, you have a safety net that it catches everything.
Yeah.
So, that's probably for me the number one thing to do. And then on top of that, you can do whatever you know that you're going to be covered. So you don't work hard for nothing.
Yeah, or like we tell our client, it's like the suitcase, right? All these would go into that suitcase. So you're building together and you put that knot on top. You sign for your trust documents. Yes. You lock it in.
So that's our 5 pillars of planning. Hopefully it gets you thinking, but all 5 at the same time, okay? Not one at a time.
To-do list. Don't forget.
To-do list.
Can you see this? Here, let me
Right, you gotta move a little bit.
Yes, there we go.
All right, to-do list. So we talked about emergency funding. So your to-do list, please take a little bit of time. Figure out exactly how much do you need with your bare minimums. Okay, and then whether you want to do that for 6 months or 12 months is up to you. But it surprised me. I did the exercise myself. It surprised me exactly how hard it is to actually put things in category. What are necessity and what are needs and what are wants. And I think for us, for me, it was really, really difficult. But once you do get beyond that, you have a lot clearer idea. And if it's a really alarming number, good that you're doing it, so you're getting ready. If it's a lot easy number on your mind, at least you have that peace of mind.
So once you figure out necessity, then you know how much to budget for, then you could come up with an amount for your emergency fund, how much you should set aside. Whether it's 6 months or 3 months or 12 months.
Anything is better than nothing.
Yes. And you still have time. Once you have that number in mind, you know how hard you need to work to grow those assets, investment and everything.
Mm-hmm. So when you have that figured out, start saving. I don't care how little, but start saving. Or, if you already have that, put it aside. Right. So at least that's the very basic protection for your family.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy Friday, happy weekend. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.